Let's discuss this now with Michael Gullan, CEO of G&G Digital and G&G Advocacy. A very good morning to you, Michael. We've seen something similar to this taking place during the U.S. elections, particularly where Donald Trump was concerned. How exactly is it going to work now surrounding the coronavirus?
Yes, look, I think it's very encouraging to see Twitter and other social media platforms taking a more responsible role, particularly in this environment with this COVID outbreak. And Twitter's approach now is to implement a 5-strike penalty system, and the low level of that is the first 3 strikes. It's really a moderate disciplinary action to get people to rethink the misinformation that they share. And then repeat offenders will be potentially have their accounts suspended permanently, much like we saw with Donald Trump for the ongoing and dangerous spreading of misinformation on the platform.
All right, so users will be notified, right, once they have posted misinformation surrounding COVID-19. Are they then given a certain time limit to remove the tweet?
Absolutely, they are notified.
Yeah.
And again, I think that that's a responsible approach by Twitter. Not only are they notified, but harmful tweets or inaccurate tweets also have notifications on them that push users to a reliable source of information. So I think that's a very, very important step. But equally interesting in this unfolding situation is the fact that users on the Twitter platform can't report other users for the spreading of false information, particularly around COVID-19. So I think that on the one hand, Twitter's getting it right and self-moderating, but not harnessing the power of the community to report those repeat violators. So an interesting and unfolding series of events.
Yeah, it is quite interesting considering that usually on Twitter, if there's someone with an offensive account, you are able to report them. But I mean, we all love Twitter, but we do know that it is a place where you will find a lot of misinformation with regard to any kinds of topics. Why was it so necessary for Twitter to make such a giant move in terms of COVID-19, do you think?
I think, look, first of all, I think the sheer scale of Twitter, I mean, clearly it's a tiny player compared to Facebook. I mean, globally, Facebook has 2.7 billion users and Twitter only 353 million. But the level of influence that Twitter has is quite significant. And there's been a rampant spread of disinformation. There was a recent survey done at the end of 2020 in the US, and 41% of those recipients that were polled indicated that they believed that the coronavirus was man-made and used and been developed to, in some way, control the population. Now, that's a very large percentage. Clearly, this is a US poll, but a large percentage of people that are misinformed. And so I think that Twitter's taken this action, as have the other social media platforms, with a clear understanding of the role that they play in shaping public opinion. And it's a very responsible step that they've taken because, clearly there's the other side to this is that with the misinformation spread is the advocating of not to take a vaccine.
Yeah.
And clearly that becomes a public health problem. So I think that Twitter are being extremely responsible in taking this action.
All right, but then my final question, Michael, to you is it working then? Because we saw them starting to introduce this late last year, talking about how this misinformation should not be spread. About 8,000 accounts were removed, 8,000 tweets rather were removed. Do you see a difference in the number of people that are spreading misinformation? Are they taking the warning seriously?
Look, I think it's a little early at this point in time for us to have a definitive opinion, but I think the most impactful step that Twitter took was not in this environment, it was when they banned a high public figure like Donald Trump from spreading misinformation. And I think all of us in the public now realize that there are consequences for spreading misinformation and that those of us that rely on our Twitter accounts to have some reach and influence are in danger of losing access to that important tool. And so as a result, I think that people are rethinking the responsible use of Twitter. And I think over the next few months, we'll most certainly see a positive impact from this action that Twitter has taken.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael Gullan, CEO of G&G Digital and G&G Advocacy.